Hello Reborners, my name is Karen and this is Making Dolls with Karen. We're back with Kaelin and she has had a bake and she's looking pretty good. Her nails don't look all that good, but I don't know if I don't remember if I painted them last time or not. Her face looks pretty good. We're getting ready to put some layers on her. We're going to start with 05. I'm going to try to make her a very dark baby. Very dark. And I'm going to be baking her probably in between coats. I don't know yet what I'm going to do. It's kind of hard to decide what you want to do with your dolls if you are going step by step like I usually do. It's hard to decide if the color you're putting on there is dark enough, if you should move on to the next color, you know, a lot of things like that. It's just decisions. You have to make a lot of decisions when you're making a doll. But anyway, we're gonna start putting some layers on her. There's a fly in here. I go out to bake, and every time I go out, you know, you have to open the door with a doll in your hand, and so pieces of a doll in your hand, and so sometimes you can't shut the door right straight behind you immediately, and so you're putting down the doll into the oven, and while you're doing that, a fly's getting in. Since we live upstairs, we don't have as many as we would downstairs, but we still get plenty of them. But you know, they say that most flies fly within 4 feet of the ground, and we're higher than that, of course. Anyway, we're gonna put a couple of coats of this on Kaelin, try to make her a little bit more dark-skinned. I like my babies to be a little bit darker than pale, and she's very, very pale. I may put 2 coats of each color on her. I don't know yet. Because she is very pale. But that can be remedied. All we have to do is take the time to do it. We don't need to rush with our dolls and try to do them in like 2 coats or something. You know, just stacking a bunch of layers and making them look chalky and ugly. We need to take our time and do a good job on our dolls. That will make you the best doll you can make by taking your time. We need to pounce out every layer really good so we don't have that ugly, splotchy look on our dolls. I want to keep this Kaelin. I want to keep every doll, really. To tell you the truth, I love all of my dolls. And I think they're beautiful. And when they sell, I feel sad. But it's only temporary because usually you can get another kit of almost every doll. But some of these artist kits that they brought back for just a limited time, it's like your one chance. I mean, you can buy more of them if you got the money to do it, but you know, a lot of times you just don't have the money to continue to buy kits, and then you don't know when they're going to run out, and when they do, that's going to be the end probably. They're probably not going to bring them back again. I don't know why, but they just probably won't. But they did bring them back this time, so that probably is what is keeping them from restocking a lot of their real borns, as they did a whole run of these. And you know, it takes about, I think they said one time in some sort of a, sometimes they put messages on their site to let you know how long it takes to get a kit and stuff, that it take about 30 days to make a run of one doll. I don't know how many kits that involves, but I would say it was probably in the thousands. But it takes about 30 days to run them, and then it takes another 30 days to get them from China, and then another 30 days for them to inspect them and get them up for sale. So that's 90 days right there. And if there's any snafu in the process, it's going to take even longer. So that's why it's taking so long to restock the kits. They did these instead to make a special run, and I think they were thinking that people would just grab them and just buy them at the regular price. And they even put a note on them that said they will not be lowered. They will be regular price the whole time they're selling them, which didn't happen for very long because they weren't selling very good. I guess they weren't selling as good as they wanted them to. I bought several of them at the regular price, and then they started reducing them. And now they're down from $59 to about $35. Every few days they change the kit of the day excuse me. And sometimes they have an artist kit up for the kit of the day, and sometimes they have real-born kits. And when the kit of the day is going to be an artist kit, it's only about $16 or $17. And that's a great grab right there. But if you don't have the money, you just can't grab it. But they don't go on that much of a sale very often. About $35 is about the cheapest that they are putting them up for. But still, it's cheaper than they said they were going to do it. But anyway, my point is, if you have a kit and you like the doll and you don't want to let it run out before you can get one for yourself, you better make yourself one and just keep it, and then try to get one to make and sell, because you just don't know when they're going to run out. And unless one was extremely popular, they're probably not going to run them anymore. I think they're just going to probably stick to mostly real-borns. Kaelin's so little, she almost can't find clothes for her. Even preemies are too big for her. She's not quite a micro preemie, but she's a little smaller than a regular preemie. You'd have to get some of the smaller preemie clothes. Even in the sizes of newborn and 0 to 3 months and preemie and all that, the sizes run different according to the outfit. Some of them might be a little larger and some of them a little smaller. But Kaelin's going to take a very small outfit, a very small preemie outfit. They do have some that small sometimes, but some of them almost look like newborn size to me. She makes a cute doll, I think. A very cute little sleeping tiny preemie doll. If you like preemies, some people really, really like preemies, and they collect preemie dolls. And if you like preemies, she's a good one to add to your collection, because she's very cute. She's a sleeping cute baby. Cadence, her awake sister, is not as cute, I don't think. Some of the awake dolls look better than their sleeping versions, but most of the time the sleeping version looks a little better than the awake version, because they're more relaxed and their face is not, they're not making some crying face or some kind of, pruned up wrinkly face, or they're just asleep, and they're relaxed and they just look good. She's got one really cute open hand, I think. These limbs were used for a really lot of their smaller, same limbs for a very lot of their smaller little dolls. Tegan and several of them. I just can't remember all what their names are, have these exact same limbs. And even a couple of dolls that are slightly bigger have these limbs, only they're just slightly bigger. I don't know. They're widely used, let's put it that way. I'm going to go back over them and pounce them a little bit more with another sponge, a cleaner one, and try to get a little more off of them, because that really does dry them a lot better than just, letting them sit on the table to dry. And it also gets any more of the splotchiness off that may have gotten down in their crevices. It helps you, when you're pouncing the entire doll, it helps you look at the doll a little closer to make sure there's no rashy looking spots or anything like that that you could miss if you don't do it. And very little really comes off, but it needs to be done. Every little bit that you do a little better than you did the last time, it makes your doll look a little better. My mother used to say, try to be perfect, and then when you fall short, it won't be so bad. Yep, this helps a lot to dry the doll. Doing this additional pouncing on them. And then they can take another layer right away, pretty much. And you don't have to worry about it building up too much because you've got every little bit of that other wet off of them. So there she is, pretty much dry. I'm gonna start putting some more on her head, and by the time I get to her limbs, they'll be finished drying, and she'll be just ready to go in for her bake. I think I've decided I like stacking layers. I didn't used to like it. I'm gonna hit her face a little bit with this heat gun because she's too shiny to me. The closer you get, the hotter their face is going to get. I just touch it every now and then to see how hot it is, because you don't want it to get too hot. As soon as that shiny starts coming off their face, they're pretty much done. She's just got a couple little spots on her cheeks that still look a little rough. Yep, she's done. I can do her over now. Her face is slightly warm. It cools off very quickly because it doesn't penetrate all the layers of her vinyl and to the inside, so the warmth just goes away pretty quick. So you don't have to worry about that too much, her being too warm to paint. Always try to get some up inside their nostrils because it won't color if you don't get any up in there. This sponge is drippy wet. Drippy. The second time you do it, it might be even more important to pounce it really good than the first time was. Because, I don't know, they can actually get too much paint on them at one time. So you have to be really careful about that. So pouncing them really good is going to be very important on the second layer. I mean, it's important anyway, but it's going to be doubly important, I think, for the second layer. Because there's already paint underneath it, and it's going to start to look thick or chalky or rashy or something if you don't pounce it real good. And then there could still be some little spots you're not pouncing as good as you think you are. That's why we go over them a second time and a third time sometimes, because of that. She's got some little darkness under her eyes and in the corners of her mouth that we're going to get out with a brush, because, well, it's the best way to do it. I used to just use one of my big old fluffy brushes for that until I got this brush that works so well at it. You're going to see a lot of the like patchy looking stuff and the rashy looking stuff just disappear when you start using this brush. It just soaks it right out of their skin or something. And I'm going to also go over with this sponge just to make sure she doesn't have any more splotchy stuff on her. We've taken care of all of her crevices, and so now I'm just going over her regular skin area to make sure it's taken care of as well. And it looks really good, so I'm happy with that. I'm going to try to touch up her lips before she goes in. Don't think you have to get finished in 3 or 4 steps. You can do as many steps as you need to finish your baby. I have started stacking colors to save on bags because, well, I don't know. I don't know if I'm sacrificing quality looking dolls for that, because they seem to look about the same to me. But sometimes they don't look the same, and they start to get really mucky looking. So if that's happening to your dolls, you need to back off of stacking layers. It's not that important, you know, that you want to make your doll look funny. If you're doing a clean, very clean layer, then it's not going to hurt anything to stack the layers. But if you're unable to remove some of it from the crevices, or it starts to look splotchy, just back off of it, because it's not worth it. Yep, it can sure do it. It can sure start to look mucky and bad. Cleaner sponges, starting with your dirtiest sponge is what you want to splotch them with, pounce them with, because it's going to get the big residue off and not make your other sponges too dirty to use. And then you gradually go down to your cleaner sponge, and then your cleanest. And that way you're getting all the residue off, and you're keeping a cleaner sponge to do that with. Because if you get it too dirty, it's not going to be effective. That's why I'm always pouncing it on the table to get some of the paint off of it, because it can get quite thick on the wet, very, very wet, and lots of paint into the sponge. And if you're not pouncing it off on your table or on your paper towel or something, then you're going to have a problem, probably. Because see, it's just wet. You can make lots and lots of little square shapes on your table. And you don't need to be able to do that because it's not going to suck up the paint off your doll that's excess. And if you're having trouble getting down in the crevice, just use your brush. Just lightly rub it with the brush. Or sometimes you can just tap it a little bit. Just put the bristles down into the crevice, and it'll take the paint right out. It'll suck it out. But now if your brush is getting too wet too, you're going to have the same problem. It's not going to suck it out. So you might need to change brushes or wipe your brush off on your table as well, because, well, that's the only way you're going to get it out of the brush, is if you wipe it off or clean it. I cleaned my brushes earlier when I was doing Priscilla, and I clean it every once in a while. I don't clean it every single time I use it because it dries pretty quick, because not that much really gets in there. But if you're using it a lot right straight in a row, then it's going to be too wet to use, and you're going to need to, you know, rub it back and forth on your table, or clean it or change to another brush or something. But now if you clean it in paint thinner, and it's not dry, you're gonna just mess up your paint by rubbing it on your doll, because that paint thinner is gonna be coming out on your doll, and you don't want that. It's gonna just take off the paint you just put on, because it's not baked or cured or anything. It's just on there, you know. And so if your brush is getting too dirty, it's better to change brushes than try to clean the one you're using and continue to use it, because it's going to need to dry before you can use it again, because like I said, the paint thinner is going to be taking the paint right back off of your doll. Even if it seems dry, paint thinner will do it 99.999% of the time. There might be something that you put on your doll that it won't take off. I just really don't know what that would be, but there might be. But most of the time, if you haven't baked yet, you can just take it off with paint thinner. Just wet you a rag or something. Some people use a sponge. They just get it wet in the paint thinner and pounce it off. But I find it a whole lot easier if you're wanting to remove paint to do it with a rag. I just use a wash rag, and I just wet it and rub it up and down on the doll, and it just takes it right off. So keep that in mind, that if you're going to want to remove the paint, you're probably going to have to rub. It's probably not going to come off with just a dabbing. Some of it will, but if you want it all off, it's not going to happen. And if you've already baked it, it's not going to happen anyway. Some of it might still come off, but it shouldn't. Most of it will not. 99% of it probably. You might could dim it, or like I said, one time I took the paint off of a doll, and it was a heat set doll. I can't even understand how it worked. That's the only doll that it ever happened to when I was trying to just clean the doll or something with some alcohol, and I put some alcohol on a rag, and it just took the paint and the paint thinner and the sealer and everything right off the doll. It was really bizarre. I couldn't even believe it. I was sitting there, that fly wants to land on me. Go away, fly. Anyway, I was sitting there with my mouth hanging open, wondering how in the world did it happen. Anyway, we're about to get her. Oh, she's got a little monkey stuff between her toes there. Let's see if I can get that out from last coat. As soon as you see a problem, take care of it, because that's the best chance you have of eradicating the problem, is doing it immediately. If you let it bake, you might have to scrape it out. Sometimes you can't even remove it. You might even get to the point where all you can do is minimize it. And sometimes you can't even do that. So immediately, if you see something is too mucky or too thick in a crease or something, just dab it out. It's just, you know, it's much easier to take care of immediately. So keep that in mind. We want the prettiest dolls we can make. But we are still going to make mistakes and have snafus in our dolls, and we have to learn some little technique to get around them or cover them up or something, or else they're a boo-boo baby. And don't think you can't get anything for a boo-boo, because you can probably break even on a boo-boo. You know, you just mark it down to a cheaper price and be honest about it and point out the flaw, and a lot of people will still buy your doll. Some people look for boo-boos because they are cheaper. They don't care about that little boo-boo. They're going, okay, so she's got a spot on her leg. She's going to wear pants. I don't care, you know. And they'll get it. And don't sell yourself short. You can still sell your doll. You just can't get as much for it. If you want to make a real nice profit, you need to make a real nice baby. So we want to make them as clean as possible so they're not boo-boos. But if you have to make it a boo-boo, don't feel bad, because everybody makes boo-boos. Even those experienced people who want to make you think they don't. Everybody makes a boo-boo. We're just human beings. We can't help it. Maybe you didn't feel good that day, or maybe you're just tired, or I don't know, or something made you not see the boo-boo right away where you could fix it. But it's not the end of the world. Sometimes you can just cover it up with something like a baby scratch or something. There, that's her 05. We're gonna now touch up her lips a little bit before we get too many minutes on this video as well. I don't like to make them too long. I feel like people won't watch them if they're too long. They'll get tired of watching it and go off of it. And I want people to start at the beginning and follow through all the videos to the end until they see the finished doll, and then they can follow along if they want to or whatever. You know, it's better than seeing half a video and skipping 2 different episodes after it and going to the 4th one. And, you know, some people do. Sometimes episode 1 will get 25 views and episode 2 will get 4 views and episode 3 will get 56 views. And I'm going, what, do they just pick and choose which ones they want to watch and they don't watch the rest of them? I don't understand. She's got a little bit of crappy looking stuff on her face. I'm going to dab her around a little bit. Even though I dabbed her pretty good in the corners of her mouth and around the edges of her nose and stuff, there's just a little stuff built up there. And I'm just going to take care of it right now before it becomes a problem later on. In little crevices like that, it's real easy for something to just build up there. It's super easy. Get that off her face. I don't know what, it looks like a pencil shave. Sometimes if you sharpen your pencils on your over your table, a little fleck won't get caught by the little compartment that catches the pencil shavings, and it'll be on your table. And then if you lay your doll down while it's still wet, it sticks to the doll. It won't continue to stick to the doll, but it'll stick to them for that moment. Anyway, here we go. I'm going to paint her lips again. I think I painted them last time, but they just aren't retaining the color very well. Take my glasses off. I see better sometimes without them. And we're going to paint her lips. I like to make pretty lips. I don't like ugly lips. Sloppy lips. I don't like sloppy lips. Some people just take a brush and whoosh right across the lips. And they say it's just fine. You can just do that because they're kind of red in the face anyway. If you get some on the face, it doesn't matter. But I think this dark stuff that I'm using, it's thicker and darker. And there is some kind of little piece of fiber fill or something on the end of my brush. It does show. It shows really much on their face. And you don't want that because it makes them look a little bit like you just can't paint straight or something. She needs a little rubbing, I think. Her face is still looking a little wrong to me. It's a little crusty looking. I just need to rub her just a bit to get some of that off. Just lightly rubbing her to try to remove some of that crusty looking, rashy looking stuff because I put 2 layers on her at one time. We want really clean layers because we want a pretty baby. And just around her eyes and stuff, or right around the base of her nose and stuff, it's just a little bit too thick. See, it just only a tiny bit came off. But she looks better now. I may end up selling Kaelin after all. I don't know. Sometimes I think I want a doll, but then later on I change my mind and I go, I don't know why I kept that doll. It's not that good, you know? And then I'll just sell it. And some of the dolls I don't want to go down on my price because I'd rather keep them than sell them for a cheaper price. It's like, oh, nobody wants to buy it? Oh, good, I get to keep it, you know? I feel compelled to put them up for sale, but I don't really want them to sell. It sounds stupid, I know, but it's not. It's just kind of, you know, your feelings about the doll are outweighing your need to sell them, but you still feel the need that you need to sell them. So if nobody buys them, well, you can't help that, right? But I do need to sell dolls. That's a given. And I don't need to be holding dolls back because I want them. It used to be, before I was worried about people, about them discontinuing dolls and stuff and not being able to get them anymore, it didn't bother me to sell them because I could just make another one and replace it on the shelf with another one just like it. And that's pretty much what I did. I always had a variety of dolls on my shelf, and I might not constantly have a Kaelin, but, you know, after a while you go, I think I'll make another Kaelin, you know. And then you'd sell it too. It was no big deal because, well, you were going to just be able to make another one. But now it's not like that anymore. You're going, this is probably my last chance to get one, and I'm going to regret it if I sell it. Oh, I need to do her nails as well. Oh, I'm just sitting here talking like a idiot instead of thinking about what I'm doing. But you know, still at the same time you're going, I just can't keep every doll because I just like them. I have quite a, well, my collection's not all that extensive, but because, like I said, I always have some dolls on my shelf. Like I have Brooklyn Awake, Brooklyn Sleep. I have, you know, several dolls like that. They're just June, Jenny, you know, different dolls. They're just on my shelf because I can get more and more and more of them. I don't need to keep one. I can always have a beautiful doll on my shelf, and it's for sale. And I can look at it while it's selling, and no big deal, you know. But then when you are thinking about, this doll is a sold-out doll, and they ran it for a special edition, and then they're going to just discontinue it again, you're thinking, maybe I should keep one. I don't know. It's just a thought that I have sometimes. We're going to get her back in the oven, get her another bake, and when she gets out, we'll be ready for the next color. She also has a little bit of crusty stuff on her hand here. I need to brush that off. Most of the time, the paintbrush will just brush it right off. You don't have to worry about getting out a toothpick or anything. You just use the brush, and it'll just even it out. Sometimes it won't, though. You'll have to get a toothpick out and do a little scratching because, well, it's down in the crevices, and sometimes the brush does not get it out of the crevices. It's just one of those things. But try the simplest thing you can do first. Sometimes it's a brush, sometimes it's a sponge, sometimes it's a toothpick. Just depends. A lot of times you can tell that's too much in the crevice and too dark. It's not coming out with no paintbrush. I need a toothpick. And other times you're going, I think I can get that off, you know. I can't wait to get my Rit dye and try that on my dolls. I mentioned it in, I didn't mention it in this video yet. I mentioned it in, that other doll I was working on, Priscilla, that a viewer had given me a tip about using some Rit dye to make darker skinned dolls. And she said it worked really, really well, and it didn't like rub off or anything, so I'm gonna try it. I'll make me some ethnic babies that have good skin tone. I can't make the skin tone look right, so I'm gonna try that on one doll, and then we'll see how it works. And then if I like the results, I'm gonna do more dolls. But if I don't, I'm just gonna scrap it. She said all you had to do was dip the doll for about 45 seconds, 40 to 45 seconds, and then put it under water, rinse it off, and just keep repeating that process until you get the skin tone that you were looking for. And then you don't have to put all those multiple really dark layers on your doll, because it's pretty much colored the brownish color you want. And then you just start in on regular painting with other layers and doing enhancements and stuff, and you get done with the doll, and you don't have this crusty looking, scratchy looking look like Ashley's got. I'm just very dissatisfied with Ashley. But anyway, we're gonna get Kaelin in the oven and get her a bake, and we'll be back to do some more to her after she bakes. And I'm gonna remind everybody to please like, subscribe, and share, and happy reborning.